Euromaxx highlights, coming up on the show. Magical Mystery Tour, a new Beatles museum opens in Hamburg. Simply the best. The Italian company Cartel makes designer classics from plastic. Through the Viewfinder, photographer Sven Postian and his portraits of authors. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Robin Merrill.
And a very warm welcome from Berlin. World fairs, commonly known as expos, are a chance for countries to present themselves to the rest of the globe. The next one will be held in Shanghai in 2010, with 230 nations and international organizations taking part. The German pavilion, called Balanced City, is all about creating better living conditions in our cities of the future. We visited the Munich-based team of architects who are designing the Expo Pavilion that will represent this country.
Germany's pavilion for Expo 2010 in Shanghai. It's an intriguing combination of terraced landscaping and interlocking exhibition halls. The goal is to express a multifaceted vision of Germany, one that will be seen by as many as 45,000 visitors every day. The pavilion was designed by Munich architects Schmidt-Huber and Partner, who specialize in temporary buildings like exhibition stands, structures that are taken down just weeks or months after they're built. They won the contract against 24 rivals. Project leader was Lennart Wichel.
The pavilion should represent Germany and make people curious. Visitors approaching the pavilion will find a walk-in sculpture. Rather than presenting a conventional signal like a door or a gateway, this awakens curiosity. The visitor is invited to explore the pavilion, to walk around it, and discover it for themselves.
And there's plenty to discover, with 5,750 square meters of space showing off exhibits from German science, business, and culture. There's room for a simulated harbor, a factory, and an opera. One highlight is the Energy Source show, where visitors can control an illuminated sphere with their voices. This variety on the inside is juxtaposed with a complex exterior structure. All in all, the pavilion seeks to live up to the slogan of the 2010 Expo, Better City, Better Life. The architect describes his vision as a balance of different opposing spaces.
We call the pavilion the Balanced City, a balancing act that you can read. The bodies both support and lean on each other. So it's a sculptural balancing act. But it's also a balancing act of different spaces, urban spaces that make up European cities. There's the rural space on the one side and the urban space on the other. In this design, they confront each other, overlap each other, and shape each other.
In that respect, the pavilion embodies the philosophy of the Munich team. They see their temporary buildings as experimental terrain for new kinds of architecture. One example is this events hall. It holds more than 1,300 people, yet it can be taken down in a matter of days and moved to a different location. For Lennart Wichel, this transience is both a blessing and a curse.
The exciting thing about temporary buildings is the speed, the experimental character, and the spontaneity with which a building can appear in a context like this, landing like a spaceship and then like a spaceship disappearing again. What is sometimes frustrating is that the building then only lives in pictures, in people's memories, but in reality, it has disappeared.
But visitors to the Shanghai Expo will have 6 months to enjoy the real thing. The German pavilion will open on May 1st, 2010.
British band The Beatles were one of the most successful groups in rock music history, and Hamburg has a very strong link with the Fab Four from Liverpool. They got their first break playing in the small beat clubs of this port city in northern Germany. And now Hamburg is finally paying tribute to this famous band with the opening of the brand new Beatlemania Museum.
It all began here in Hamburg's red light district in 1960. The four lads from Liverpool developed their style on the stages of St. Pauli's nightclubs, and the district has never forgotten them. Today, the legendary Reeperbahn is now home to the Beatlemania Museum. There's all the Beatles memorabilia one could wish for. On 5 floors, it takes visitors on a magical mystery tour through the Beatles universe.
The idea for a Beatles museum in Hamburg has been around for some time among people who knew them and are still fans. Like in Liverpool, where such a museum obviously belongs, it took a long time to realize the plan. Here and there, it was all done with private money.
Much of the exhibition focuses on the band's early years in Hamburg. At the time, they weren't yet the Fab Four. There were still 5 of them. Hamburg photographer Astrid Kirchherr documented this period in pictures that would later become iconic. She also played a key role in creating the band's image. They came up with their mop tops, for example, with a little help from their friend.
They were good friends of mine. And as a photographer, what was I going to do with a bunch of sweet, good-looking boys but take their picture? It was that simple. But I made a big effort, and so did they. And they gave me a glimpse of their innocent young souls.
Ich durfte ein ganz kleines bisschen in ihre junge kleine Seele sehen.
But Hamburg was also where the boys grew up fast and led an excessive rock and roll lifestyle. They performed in various clubs until they were given a regular slot by Horst Fascher at the landmark Star Club, which had hosted R&B legends such as Ray Charles and Bill Haley.
I saw immediately the Beatles had a quality that other bands didn't. A kind of stage presence and charisma that you couldn't overlook.
Hamburg was also where the Beatles signed with their first record company. The original contract is on display at the museum. For the band, it was a stepping stone on the way to becoming perhaps the most popular band of all time. At the height of Beatlemania, girls would faint at their concerts, like here in New York in 1965. Wherever and whenever they appeared, hysteria would break out. The sound of girls screaming would often drown out the music. At the museum, original footage gives visitors a sense of what it must have been like.
Beatlemania was amazing. When it starts, you're just watching, and then suddenly it's all around you and really hits you. That's exactly what it must have been like.
But it soon became draining for the band. They stopped touring in 1966, limiting their appearances to TV and movies. On January 30th, 1969, they gave their last concert from the roof of their London studio. By April 1970, they'd reached the end of their long and winding road and split up for good. The Beatles lasted just 10 years, but wrote pop history.
It's great immersing yourself in the Beatles like this. I really love it.
It's not really my generation, but the exhibition conveys a sense of the time. Even if you're not the biggest Beatles fan, this place could turn you into one.
Beatlemania, a museum that's really got a hold on Hamburg.
Must next time I'm in Hamburg. Germany's Daniela Jasper is addicted to mountaineering, and she's actually climbed more of the Alps than any other woman ever. This week we met up with her at home with her family, but first where she also feels at home, high up in the mountains.
Daniela Jasper is climbing high, 4,000 meters above sea level. At this altitude, there's snow all year round. She has climbed the Mönch in the Bernese highlands many times before, but the thrill never fades.
For me, mountaineering isn't purely a sport, it's actually a way of life. When I go mountain climbing, I love being in a natural setting, moving in nature. It's a really special experience because you're surrounded by silence and an atmosphere like nowhere else. And you confront yourself and emerge much stronger and knowing yourself better.
Endurance, mental strength, and daily training are key to getting ready for a major climb. This autumn, Daniela is planning to tackle the Aconcagua, South America's highest peak. She'll be taking a particularly dangerous route, but these days, she knows what she's doing.
Training for the first climb is very complex, as are the preparations. Mountaineering has different disciplines. We're decathletes because we've got to do it all. When you're doing the Eiger's North Face, then you've got lots of extreme climbing. You've got to be a top sport climber, good at high levels of difficulty, and be in top physical condition.
The Eiger in the Swiss Alps, a 4,000-meter peak. In 1999, Daniela climbed its north side, a notoriously risky undertaking. Two years ago, a documentary about the adventure hit the cinemas.
When you're at the summit, it's a feeling of being completely sovereign, above it all. You look down on the world. It's a view like you get from no other place. You can see clear to the Black Forest, where we live now. It's really something special.
Even when Daniela is at home in the Black Forest, mountain climbing continues to dominate her life. She's been drawn to the mountains ever since she can remember.
I started climbing when I was 16. I did rock climbing all over southern France. I loved it and was really good at it. I worked my way up quickly, and by the time I was 19 or 20, I was already one of the best women, without even realizing it.
For now, Daniela's children are too young to start mountain climbing. But like her, they clearly feel at home in the great outdoors.
Sometimes I really get cabin fever when I have to stay at home for too long a time. I get a longing for the freedom that I feel when I'm climbing mountains. Then I just want to get out and get moving. And then I have to organize the whole thing.
Daniela Jasper heads to the mountains every 2 weeks. The Bernese Alps are a 2-hour drive away, and she'd go mad if she didn't follow their call on a regular basis.
Now, what would we do without plastic? I bet you some of Daniela Jasper's mountaineering equipment is made out of plastic. We all use it on a daily basis, but plastic is a much maligned material. However, this is not the case at the Milan-based firm Cartel, who've been designing amazing things out of plastic for 60 years now. And today, their innovative creations are sold all over the world.
These modern-day icons are made of plastic. They were designed by top European designers.
Cartel was the first company to understand there is a beauty, there is an aristocracy, there is something noble in plastic.
The firm has its own museum at its headquarters in Milan. From 1964, the world's first plastic chair by Marco Zanuzzo and Richard Zappa. The bookworm shelf from Ron Arad from 1994. And just a few months old, Frilly by Patrizia Urquiola. Objects from 60 years of cartel and the pride of owner Claudio Lutti.
Our products have to be lasting, not faddish, but still glamorous. They have to be part of our dream of being universal, fitting in with all styles and pleasing the world over.
Cartel's first design prizes for innovative household objects came in the 1950s. From 1963, Cartel turned its attention to furniture and lamps. 20 years ago, the former Versace manager Lutti bought out Cartel and commissioned Ron Arad, Philippe Starck, and other big-name designers. Starck's first chair, La Marie, was made of transparent polycarbonate.
We think there is nothing more beautiful than plastic because it's produced by human intelligence. That's why Cartel is unique in the world.
The Louis Ghost chair was also designed by Starck. It was a big success. Over 1 million were sold. Today, there's a whole Ghost collection.
This chair speaks for itself. It's ironic, it's functional, modern. You see the beauty of the transparency. There are no defects. And at the same time, it's durable.
Urquiola's frilly stool is one of the newest designs.
I like this small footstool more than anything else I've done all year. We designers love small-scale things too. So a tiny footstool can make me very happy.
The Bubble Club outdoor sofa by Philippe Starck. The French designer strives to produce high-quality items at affordable prices.
Because Cartel, we have now almost win the battle of democratic design, and now we can play with other game.
Playing with new shapes and experimenting with super gloss sheens. The possibilities of plastic are endless, and there may well be a few more design icons to come.
Now, here's a happy man. Sven Paustian has managed to combine the two great passions in his life, photography and books. He specialises in taking portraits of authors and also pictures for book covers. There's an exhibition of his work at the moment in a beautiful old villa southwest of Frankfurt, and he showed us round.
Sven Paustian has been photographing book covers for German publishing houses like Suhrkamp and Fischer for more than 15 years. He reads the books beforehand to familiarize himself with them.
I call myself a storyteller with a camera. Maybe that's what leads to a certain degree of understanding between me and the authors. I think I have the knack of getting on with people.
And he captures all of them. Hungarian Nobel laureate for literature Imre Kertész, prize-winning German writer Martin Walser, and writer Uwe Tellkamp, who was awarded the 2009 German National Book Prize. There's a story behind every photographic encounter.
I'd arranged to meet Uwe Tellkamp at 7 in the morning on the Blue Wonder. That's what Dresdeners call their beloved old steel bridge. The publisher had sent me the manuscript, and after I'd read it, it was clear that's where we had to do the photos. But some joker must have called the police. They probably reported a suicide. And when I looked up from the camera equipment, I saw a whole armada of police vehicles, fire trucks, and ambulances pulling up. But this photo made it all worth the while.
He also photographed Ludwig Luckmeyer, a criminal who stole millions and spent more than 10 years in jail. There he began to write his life story, a bestseller. Sven Paustian wanted to photograph him outside his parents' home in Bavaria.
It was quite a shock when we saw that all that remained of his parents' house was a pile of rubble, because his local community wanted to eradicate every trace associated with him. Of course, it was a very moving moment when Luckmeyer climbed up onto the remains of his past. And that's what you see here.
Nicoleta Esinencu from Moldova writes plays and essays. Her first drama was a critical sensation, and her latest essay collection is due out this autumn. She's currently traveling across the continent. Paustian chose a gas station on the highway for her photo. He likes taking shots when it's dark.
At night you get the feeling that you're plunging into the secrets of your own soul, more than you would in the glare of sunshine.
Sven Paustian, the writer's photographer. Every picture tells a story.
Finally today, it's springtime here in Europe, and from a gardening point of view, it's the busiest and arguably the best time of the year. So we're going to an international garden festival with a difference. The beautiful Loire Valley, southwest of Paris, is a regular fairy tale landscape of castles, and the garden festival in Chaumont-sur-Loire is an occasion for the world's best gardeners, landscape artists and designers to experiment to their heart's content.
The castle gardens in the French town of Chaumont-sur-Loire are a popular tourist destination. But those who like classical rose gardens or trimmed hedges will be disappointed, because this is no ordinary garden. At the International Garden Festival, there's a lot more on show than nice-looking flower beds. What this show is about is art. To be specific, it's avant-garde horticulture. Chantal Collot-Dumont is the director of the festival. She helped select the gardens on display from the hundreds that were submitted in applications. Expert gardeners see it as a place where they can let their fancy take flight.
Here you can try anything. We show works of art. We work with plants, but we aren't a horticultural exhibition. We play with the plants and with nature. You could say that we're a bit different from other garden festivals.
Actually, there's quite a bit that's different in Chaumont. The landscape architects who've worked here aren't exactly ordinary either. One is actually a French star coiffeur.
We work with architects, designers, young students, and people who work in fashion. It's important for us to work with people who have a truly different perspective on gardens.
This time around, color is key. There are colors upon colors to suit this year's Garden of Colors theme. That may not sound so trailblazing, but in addition to gardens that are aesthetically pleasing, there are also settings that pique the imagination. This is not an advertisement for laundry detergent, but an homage to nature as the origin of every single color.
This garden plays with color. The colors of the plants, the flowers, and the laundry. We're in blue, pink, and we can move into violet. And there's this very nice relationship between the plants and the laundry.
Other gardens explore color associations. Here, black and gold contrast in nature just as they do on street signs. Seeing Red is the name of this installation, where the color red is used to indicate alarm. Other works are more conceptual. This one is called Ultraviolet. French architect Marie-Téphanie Ramon Delgado had a hand in shaping it.
We
wanted a garden that wasn't just pretty, but which was also educational. The course forces the visitor to go through the different parts.
While they're on the move, the visitors are supposed to be learning that sunlight is a double-edged sword.
Here you see plants from blue through violet. This indicates the positive effect of light and sun. Ultraviolet rays are important for growth.
Visitors then pass through a darkened box and come out on the other side, where they see how much damage too much sun can do.
Here you see the damage that ultraviolet rays can do. Plants lose their color and appear to be either greenish-gray, gray, or brown.
jaune aussi là-bas.
Chaumont-sur-Loire, where visitors are happily led up the garden path.
And if you'd like to see some of those reports again, you'll find them on YouTube. That's all for this edition, though, so bye-bye.